This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Hope you all are doing well as always. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend that is Scott Pianowski. Load up those fantasy football questions right now. Send them in on the YouTube chat board. You can send them in on the Welt and Rayom text line at 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056. Load up those fantasy football questions. Did you have Andy Dalton last night there, Scotty?
I did not. Unfortunately, I didn't have the Arizona defense. I just need you to promise me one thing, Big O. Promise me I have not been traded to the Carolina Panthers.
Wow. Oh, God. What'd you think of that trade? Because he's so injured. Schematically, football-wise, IQ, I get what Shanahan's thinking, and it would be perfect. And I get it. He's a mismatch nightmare, all that stuff. As a pass catcher, he's a terror, all that stuff. Man, but that's a lot of picks for a guy that is rarely on the field.
Yeah, I thought Carolina had to make that trade, right? I mean, they're rebooting.
Yes.
Their next good team is not going to have Christian McCaffrey on it. So he's in his sixth year. Running back windows don't stay open as long as we think they will. And he's eventually going to make pretty good money. The contract isn't that bad this year for a cap hit. So I think the Panthers had to make the trade. As far as San Francisco, the NFC is wide open. I mean, Philadelphia right now looks really good. But you can make a case for a number of teams as the second best team in the conference. I mean, is it Minnesota? Is it Green Bay? Is it Dallas? Is it Tampa Bay with the Rams? They're all flawed teams. So the Niners think, well, we went to the NFC Championship game last year. Let's do what the Rams did, right? The Rams sold all sorts of stuff. They mortgaged their future, and they got a championship out of it. If the 49ers get back to the Super Bowl, it'll be worth it. But you make a good point. I mean, McCaffrey's been injured the last couple of years. It's a position where injuries hit the most. The Niners have done pretty well with, nondescript. Elijah Mitchell came out of nowhere, was fine. Jeff Wilson's been pretty good. He wasn't great last week, but he's been fine. But I think Carolina had to make this trade. I get why the Niners did it, but if McCaffrey, of course, gets hurt, they're going to regret that they just traded a slew of draft picks for probably the most easiest of all positions to fill.
Yeah, and my problem with all of this is you don't have the quarterback to get this done anyway. And so that to me, it's interesting that you're making this kind of a move. I understand you make this move when you're the team that is right on the brink of winning a Super Bowl. I'm not exactly sure. Dude, I just think you're going to see Garoppolo, McCaffrey, and Bosa take turns going to the IR is what I think is going to happen right now. That's what I think.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I was in love with this defense about a month ago, and then they play last week. They were missing all sorts of personnel, and they get pushed around by the Atlanta Falcons. You know, they were like 5 or 6 point favorites in that game. Atlanta, the only team who's covered every week. So I guess if the defense can stay healthy, it's a top 5 unit. It could be the best unit in football. And again, they went to the NFC Championship game last year, so they have to at least probably internally have a pretty good sense that they're close. Whether or not that's true or not, we'll see. The only thing for me is that if you're going to trade the time to draft capital, the last thing I'd want is a running back. Here's the irony, right? In real life football, the quarterback is everything. In fantasy football, the quarterback is not everything. In fantasy football, the running back is everything. In real life football, the running back is not everything. They don't even really go in the first round anymore. It's a rarity. So teams have gotten smart. You look at like a team right now, the Patriots are rolling with Ramondre Stevenson. He's a 4th-round pick. Dameon Pierce has been great. He was undrafted. It's just the one position where guys come out of the woodwork constantly. You might not even know who they are. You know, maybe Khalil Herbert's the best back in Chicago. He wasn't a high draft pick. It just seems like again in fantasy it's backwards, because in fantasy we need running backs like plasma.
Right.
And let me also just kind of head this off at the pass. If you could pick up Chuba Hubbard or Donta Foreman, that's fine. They have such low ceilings. This is the worst offense in football. The quarterback play has been horrendous. Yeah, if they're sitting there in your wire, you want to get them, fine. Both Andy Behrens and I independently tweeted the same thing. If we did get those guys, we'd probably try to trade them. Not that anybody in your league is going to give you a king's ransom for them, but maybe you pick up one of those guys and then he plays Sunday and has 16 carries for 42 yards, and then he's like his value is taking a hit. So
Well, maybe what you do in this case is you pick them up now. You're not going to get a lot, but if somehow this week one of them busts out for a big ass game, that's when you dump them right away.
That's a possibility too. Or maybe there's sweeteners. Maybe you're trying to get a trade done and giving somebody for him would make them happy. Also, don't cut Jeff Wilson just yet because I don't know how much McCaffrey will play this week. So you may end up starting Wilson. Obviously, 4 really good teams are on bye. This is going to be one of the more difficult bye weeks to navigate. So Wilson's probably going to end up being somebody you cut or you only hold as an insurance policy, but he still might get 15 touches this week because I don't think they'll throw the heaviest package at McCaffrey right out of the box.
All right, send in those questions. Let's go line them up. Your fantasy football questions. Scott Pianowski is ready. Chad is asking, drop Edmonds for Melvin Gordon.
I mean, I think I would. Although, man, Gordon didn't play much at the end of that game Monday. But Nat Hackett, does he look over his skis or what? I mean, I don't know if he's a one-year thing in Denver. But it sounds like Gordon's going to get the start. I know the Jets have played pretty good defense for the last few weeks. I could see Gordon getting to 15 or 20 touches before I can see Edmonds doing it. Right now, I don't have a lot of faith in either guy, but I would lean towards Gordon.
Okay. Next one. Do I start Goff or Mariota this week? How about that, dude?
Yeah, I think I would start Goff only because I'm just afraid Mariota in any week could throw the ball 15 times. Now he also is mobile. Last week
running,
he ran for like 50 yards. He punched in a touchdown. You need that with Mariota. I feel like it's just more plausible where Goff has more help. They're going to probably have Swift back this week. Brown should be ready for a full complement of snaps. He didn't play a lot before the bye week. Dallas is a good defense, and of course Parsons will be beaten down on the pocket all week. But I still believe in Detroit's offense. Their defense is going to be terrible, but Jared Goff is still around league average, maybe a little bit better, and he's got really nice pieces. Atlanta, they want to run to set up the run. So if you don't get a touchdown from Mariota, you could easily be looking at like 12 points.
Emilio's asking, do I start Lazard or Dubs?
Well, Lazard's got the 4 touchdowns, and he's getting more downfield work than Dobbs, so I'd lean there. I'm not in love, obviously, with the Green Bay passing game right now. Washington's defense has been pretty good, but maybe Green Bay can get right in this game. I just feel like if there's going to be a touchdown thrown on the Packers offense, I feel like Lazard's the guy probably to catch it.
His second question is Mike Williams or Myers?
It's Mike Williams. Look, I know, obviously, Surtain shut him down Monday. There's just like a handful of cornerbacks who are nightmare matchups. Surtain's one of those guys. This week, Williams gets Seattle. There's no matchup nightmare in the Seattle secondary. The Legion of Boom has long since moved on. So I know Seattle played a low-scoring game last week. The Chargers and Seahawks should be one of the highest-scoring games on Sunday. Play Mike Williams.
Okay. Everett or Gesicki in a flex league?
I wish I knew. We've talked about Gesicki. We like him. He's a pro. This is a new offense for him. It doesn't necessarily play to his strengths. I was really encouraged by how well he played last week, but I still, this offense is about the receivers. Everett has to deal with other guys too. I mean, they were using Parham so much on Monday, but I just feel like Everett's going to have 6 to 9 targets. I feel like Gesicki could easily have 3 or 4, so I have to lean Everett, even though I do like Gesicki as a player.
All right, remember, Welt and Rayom text line, a great way to send in the questions on the text line. Flex spot, A.J. Dillon, Gerald Everett, or Zay Jones?
A weak vote to Dillon. Man, that Packers offense is not what we thought it would be. But he's still probably got double-digit touches in his back pocket. He's still got a fair amount of goal line equity, and I don't want to be married to the Packers, but I think they're going to at least be back in the 20 to 24 point range, and that would be good for A.J. Dillon.
Remember the Welton Rayom text line, 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056. Flex spot, Mostert, Ayuk, or Judy?
I'm going to go with the back. Mostert is the lead back in Miami. They're 7.5 point favorites. We like to get tied to a good game script. I realize it's been hard to predict this backfield at times because it looked like before the season Evans would be their guy, but they've certainly leaned into Mostert. I also think Pittsburgh might have an emotionally spent reservoir. The great upset win last week over Tampa Bay. I think they might come out flatter than a pancake on Sunday night, and I actually think I'm very
I hope
reluctant.
so.
I'm very reluctant to spot big points, Big O, but that's a game where I saw the 7.5. I'm like, yeah, I'll swallow it. I think Miami's going to win by like 17 points.
You know the return of Tua
Yeah.
will ignite the offense.
They should have won. They should have won last week. It's so funny that
they could have won most of the games in the last 3 weeks.
they should have lost the Buffalo game, outgained all day, and then they dominated. They dominated Minnesota. You know what 240-yard edge in offense, whatever it was. Minnesota had no right winning that game.
Couldn't finish.
That's just the way football is sometimes. They should have lost the Buffalo game. They won it. They should have beaten Minnesota. They lost, and that's how the NFL works sometimes. But don't be fooled. I mean, Pittsburgh won last week. Pittsburgh's still one of the 5 worst teams in football.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056. The Welton Rayom text line. Need to figure out who to start at my wide receiver spots with my flex options are St. Brown, Cortland Sutton, CeeDee Lamb, and Najee Harris.
Lamb and St. Brown are the 2 guys I would use. I just, Harris, man, last year at least you could say, even when he wasn't playing that well, he never came off the field. This year they actually used Warren a fair amount of the time. And Sutton tied to Russell Wilson, who hasn't played well. I mean, Lamb's probably going to get Dak Prescott back. And St. Brown I expect to be fully healthy with the bye in his rearview mirror. So Lamb would be the first guy I'd play. I assume you need 2 of them. I'd play Lamb and St. Brown.
Razzle Dazzle Crypto says, should I start McCaffrey this week or should I give up on Brandon Cooks and Michael Thomas for my flex spot?
I think I would. Those guys are good enough that I think I would. Cooks certainly. I would play over McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey's going to get maybe 20, 25 snaps. Maybe he'll get 10 touches. So if that works for you, he'd probably need a touchdown to pay it off. Most of you probably have a better option. I'm going to rank him probably outside my top 25 at running back, maybe 28, 30, something like that. So he's somebody I can't play proactively. I would play him if I felt like that's really the only option I had.
Milano is asking, and by the way, Milano, that was a dirty shot on Tua a couple weeks ago. I traded Devontae Adams and Drake London for Jonathan Taylor and Miles Sanders. Did I win my trade?
Comes down to how healthy Taylor is. The Colts right now, by the way, by DVOA, Football Outsiders, they have the worst running game in football. It's just crazy to think that the number one consensus pick was Jonathan Taylor, and right now they have the worst running game. Now, of course, a lot of it is because Taylor hasn't played the last 2 weeks, but the line hasn't played well either. If Taylor's healthy, you're going to win that trade. Miles Sanders, we know who he is, a very reliable running back 2, but probably doesn't have running back 1 ceiling. Adams has been good, but not quite the Adams he was in Green Bay. If Taylor's healthy, I see making that trade. You're betting that Jonathan Taylor comes back strong. I think there's a plausible chance that he does, so I probably would have made that trade too.
Flex Ayuk or Judy? Oh, I'm sorry, Mostert, Ayuk, and Judy. That's the flex they're asking.
Yeah, I think we had that one. I like Mostert first. Although if you had to play 2 of them, Ayuk I would play over Judy. I just don't want to be tied to Russell Wilson. Although I will say this, if you're in a pinch for a tight end, I liked what Dulcich showed on Monday, and the Jets just allowed 10 completions to Tunyon the previous week. Dulcich has been the guy I've picked up in a few leagues where I need tight end help, but otherwise I'm trying to stay away from that Broncos offense. I think that's going to be a low-scoring game. Both defenses playing well there too.
All right, somebody else, and I think we answered this from somebody else too. He says Josh Allen is out and not many good pickup options. Jared Goff or Mariota?
Yeah, Goff, because I just worried about Mariota.
Didn't somebody ask Goff and Mariota
I think
too?
we had that, yeah. And I like Goff.
This is different because this guy has Josh Allen, so these are 2 free agents that are available for him, I guess.
Yeah, well, Goff has to buy in his rearview mirror, and Detroit's got better offensive infrastructure, and they're more willing to throw the ball. Jared Goff could throw 40 passes. Arthur Smith doesn't want to play that way.
Right, I'm with you there. All right, what are you guys working on Yahoo, my friend, so folks can check you out?
Yeah, posted our sleepers and bold predictions on Thursday. Later today, I'll be doing my picks against the spread. One of those will be Denver. I'll tell you that right now. 23-7 against the number this year, so we've been running pretty good there. Sunday, Fantasy Football Live. It's our flagship show, the final hour before kickoff. They'll be doing the webcast. I'll be on the Yahoo Fantasy handle doing a lot of this, start, sit, trade questions, pickup questions, trying to help you. And then, the whole cycle starts again. Sunday night, we'll do the podcast wrap-up. Monday, Andy will have the pickups. I know he'll be talking to you on Monday. So that's our cadence in football. It's, September, we try to figure things out. We try to keep our heads above water. October is when we try to make our move. So I want you to finish strong. I want you guys to all remember your opponents right now, they're ready to do crazy things because somebody in your league's 1-5 and he's dropping somebody he shouldn't, or he's ready to make a trade he shouldn't. He's panicking. Take advantage of that person. I mean, it's all's fair in fantasy, right? I mean, we're all friends here, but we all want to win. Keep a track of who's dropped because guys are going to start dropping players. Somebody may drop Allen Robinson. Not that he's going to save your season, but doesn't play this week. The guy who rosters Robinson may be 1-5. So make sure you're auditing those drops. And again, it's a regular routine. I'm here every Friday. I know you have Andy at the early part of the week. We're in a regular cycle at Yahoo. So hang out with us on Twitter. Hang out with us on Fantasy Football Live. Let's try to get you a win.
Got it. There you go. And follow him on Twitter at Scott_Pianowski. Scott, may the big wins be yours, my friend. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Great to talk to you, buddy. Good luck this week.
Thank you, my friend. There you go. The great Scott Pianowski. And don't forget, when you go to Sports Grill, and there's 7 amazing locations, the 8th one is coming in Doral. We'll tell you when it's open. But $1.50 Bud Light drafts and bottles during NCAA and NFL games. How about that? They've got new cocktails that they've added for only $5 during NCAA and NFL games. The cherry lemonade and the tailgate tea, $12 domestic pitchers. So many great deals while you're watching football. Bone-in wings, 15% off. How about that? Other people raising prices, Sports Grill lowering them for you. Buttermilk chicken sandwich, it's on the menu. It's delicious. And, of course, Mondays, they've got the $7 single smash burger. Tuesdays, the $2 tacos. You can choose from chicken, beef, or fish. And Wednesday, the kids eat for free with the purchase of an adult entree. Check out all 7 amazing locations. Sports Grill, baby. Great place to enjoy a game and some great food. That is Scott Pianowski.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.